When it comes to true love, true is that which is involving oxytocin gene hormone. And so the ability to be yourself, but it is also our capacity to play with words. So for your lovely host here, true love, and anyone who's attachment and trauma informed, is when you are a person who knows how to show up, and that's with integrity and with your own flaws, and you are a person who also takes accountability. As Terry Real shares, and he works with people that are couples that have unfinished business. As he shares, those who have unfinished business, they're not each other's therapists. So here we talk about when you're a person who does emotions and thoughts, you don't need the therapist. So you have personal development, self-help in an effort to consistently continue expanding your own consciousness. Once you are in that alignment, that's where pure consciousness is, you're able to present, again, who you are easily. So with our lovely day, we began, love means vulnerability with an open heart, with consistency, no self-serving agenda or expectations. And before that, we had another short on a collaborative one with our lovely Kylie, words of wisdom on taking accountability, on forgiving and repairing relationships to build genuine love. What I love about true love, and my voice is going out because yesterday I had a big day. A lot of Leo energy was around. So let me take a sip of water. And continue. What I love about true love is I got to learn about it from Jesus. And then I got to get into my clairs. And then I got to continue with my oversoul. So before even meeting my clairs and my oversoul, and clairs are basically all of the clairvoyance, clairaudience, and they're called spiritual gifts for the ones who talk about it with the Holy Spirit. Although, of course, the ones who exclude the mystics and the clairland, they think that they're different. So they use words and they think that they mean different things. When you go to sciences, it shows you what the sphere of energy is. So they don't say different things. It's all one. Plus, I have relationship with Holy Spirit. I got confirmed. I also have relationship with the sphere of Akash, and again, it's God, essence of love, life. I don't prefer using the word God, but generator of diversity is one that I like, and it's an acronym from our lovely Daniel Siegel. So I like that because we are a collective that is exactly that which is exploring and sharing diversity in the absence of imagination that separates our loved ones into fallen angels or demons and then angels and saints, or romanticizing. Okay, so we don't do cloaks and capes. We're people, and if you do not know how to be kind and to be truly loving, you will not be a Pacha, you'll be a Cusco. So you're going to be a person who's using a maladaptive child behavior pattern or adaptive child. In either way, you can use a good therapist. Straightforward. We don't go armchairing diagnosing people either. So we accept each other as we are. If somebody is with us, so like with Kylie and her boyfriend, they know about each other's diagnoses. They actively work with good therapists. They are so they're the most loving couple, genuine, who are independent and healthy, self-worth, versus a lot of other things that I've seen online in these past years. And they are supportive of a community of people who need them to actively show what it means to be healing with a good therapist, and then what it means to build a healthy self-worth relationship, and then what it means to take accountability and how it feels as you are not allowed in to life with some people. But again, it's work in progress. So we have plenty of people at IHP that welcome all of those of us who are emotionally, mentally, and physically mature. So we welcome maturity, not the ones who have chips on their shoulder, because they won't welcome us. The chips on the shoulder people, they do things like this. Excuse me, you confuse topics. No. So the nitpickers, yeah, those are all Cuscos. That's a person who has a narrow consciousness. We are expanding consciousness. We like to chime in because we like to collaborate. Christ consciousness. It's all about unconditional love. Flaws are not a reason for us not to be around each other. We have integrity. That means we know how to self-regulate. So we don't bring to you our own nervous system and then project to you our childhood trauma and then not say, oops. No, that's not how. So actively, what happens in a true love situation is that that doesn't happen. It's more of what Kylie and her boyfriend go through, which is she gets told she's the one by the boyfriend. She has a moment where she goes split thinking on him, throws all shit out of the window completely. We're done. Kicks them out or whatever it is. They split up. And I don't know how long it took, but she calmed down and she's like, oh no, that thing happened to me. And so she goes back, and he had saved everything because he knows of how it works. That's the nice thing about people who are self-aware and who are working with good therapists, and that's why they patched it up, and she's the one for him and he's the one for her. And so she and him are great in that respect. What happens when a person does not have the capacity to have a sense of self that involves I'm a person and you're a person, okay, so they use stories for themselves. That means that they allow themselves to excuse behavior that is actively unkind. So that's when, let's say that I write you, and let's say that I am sending you voice notes, and let's say that we are exchanging information, okay? So when I send you a voice note, if it's a 15-minute voice note, because I have a story for that one, and this is not romantic necessarily, okay? So we can put it, whether it's romance or friend, for a solo poly, they're equally lovable because love is unconditional. But for monoamory that I've met who are in 5D, they also know of unconditional love. So the 5D collective is unconditionally loving. You have flaws, I have flaws, okay? No chips on the shoulder. No conditions. Okay, that's why romance, not romance, it's the same. You level out the plane. Healthy self-worth people, functional adults. This is our love language. So, okay, I send you a 15-minute voice note, and I notice you see it, you read it, but you don't actually engage, or you don't answer me. I write you, you completely ignore me. And let's see, for the voice note, you don't ever get to it at all. And you don't tell me about it, you don't do anything, you don't acknowledge, no acknowledgement whatsoever. Okay, so in this instance, a healthy self-worth, securely attached person in general, at a certain point in your life, because you get to learn, we're all people, but in 2024 we also have what is attachment trauma information. So the minute that I'm aware of all of that which I'm aware, compassionately, I don't do anything. I don't have to. There's nothing for me to correct. I don't have to get angry because you have actively chosen silence as well as the lack of acknowledgement. I don't have to get sad because I can get sad, of course. As I'm getting to know you, I'm getting to now know where we differ on how to acknowledge each other. So we have a different love language. And so when I'm getting sad, there's no reason to get really sad too much, meaning, okay, I'm sad, 90 seconds, here's the emotion. Here's the action, here's my left and right mode working together, which is why the inner growth mindset only supports people who know there's emotions, not laundry. And your active brain, when you're using your prefrontal cortex, emotions last 90 seconds. You have contemplated, it's called inner growth here, some others will call it inner reflection, whatever you want to call it, it's you expanding consciousness. That's it. So I'm not going to make up a story in my head. If I wanted to do that, what I'm going to do is, hey, guess what happened to me today? I won't make up a story. I'm going to go have a conversation with my besties. You know what? This dude, and not venting, but some could think of it as venting. So we're sharing, right? Okay, so you share what happened, you get it off your chest, you do whatever, and that's it, and you're done. Because I got a data point. You don't acknowledge any of what I'm writing you, which means it's not something of importance. I don't need to keep on harping that horn, although as I get to know you, what I will know is how our communication will be able to work. And so I build a relationship that is a secure connection. And that is for all of those. Okay, so let's say it's romance. That's not going to be something that continues as a romantic anything. Because with romance comes the secure attachment figure. That means that we are safe haven, secure base relationship with each other. So you not acknowledging my communication is you not building more intimacy automatically with me, because we're not enriched. There's no exchange. Okay, so we're going to go from there being some interest to being no interest, and to being no romance to being eventually secure connections. And that's because the ones of us who are securely attached, we don't have questions. When silence is chosen, we have answers. It's called, my amygdala is not alerted to you and what you have to share. And as a person who has integrity, and that's a securely attached person, my mental, emotional, physical capacity is to not impact your life and impose myself onto you and basically make a inquiry. I don't have to. There's nothing wrong. No, it's not personal is the word for an independent 1-year-old, which I learned as a teenager, by the way. So when you learn that it's not personal, that somebody doesn't hear something, and it doesn't mean they love you more or less, you learn to be neutral towards it, and it's uncharged. And so that's why for the true lovers, though, of course, romantically, that's not how it goes. What happens is, like Kylie and her boyfriend, they talk about it, and then they see if they need to do some more therapy or whatever it is that they work out, what exercises and and they continue building intimacy. And here's where, for the flaws, it's actually not a flaw for us to be one a talker and another not. And here's what happens when people do care that you understand how they work, and so they present to you. I acknowledge that I saw what you sent me, because this, personally, the voice note has happened to me more than once, because I'm a talker. And so I've had people who completely leave me unread again and again and again. I ask them about it sometimes. In time, I got to see that people are an active pattern. So once they do it, if they did it once, that means they actively are not people who engage in communication. I don't have questions. I have automatically answers. And so you don't have to do anything. I have other people who I will randomly hear from eventually, and I will have written them like, a month ago or something. And so that's why it's actively a person's desire to talk to whenever they want to. So those are secure connections. Again, relationship that's romantic, you're not doing the once every year. A relationship that's romantic, you're consistently enjoying to hear about each other's day to day. You're wanting it. You wake up wanting more of that. So other than that, we have, you're developing acquaintances, friendships. As my voice keeps going lower, we'll see how much more voice I have for another one. But let me conclude with so when you have people who want you to know, look, I appreciate that you sent me, but I won't ever be listening, because that's not I can't physically, my ears don't do it. You acknowledge, thank them, and then from that moment forth, you see their consistency. So I have friends who know how to tell me, this is what I listen to, this is what I don't, and this is how I communicate, and then they actively do that. That doesn't mean that they communicate the same way. It means we accept each other with our different communication styles. But the difference of somebody never saying, hey, I saw that 15-minute voice note, I won't be getting to it ever, because I really don't have time for it. But do you want to tell me by voice by any chance? Because maybe it'll be nice. Or do you want to, okay, so again, that is the part of when you know a person has an amygdala that's alerted to your existence as a human being, mental, emotional, physical. So it's appreciation. It's not about being kind or rude. It's actively a connection that you're making, you see? And so, yeah, when you have people who justify and say, well, silence is a choice. Okay. Silence is a choice. What kind of a choice is it? And so that type of comeback is a sentence that integrates, I am a person who doesn't want to talk. That's it. It's still not personal, but it definitely has a different format, which is I'm choosing actively to not speak to you, which in fact brings us back to the lack of sense of self-awareness, and then the lack of awareness of another person, and therefore the lack of prefrontal cortex pattern of, wait a minute, I'm speaking to a human being who I care about. And so the amygdala is not alerted to that person's emotional, mental, and physical presence is actively here asking me about silence, and I'm giving them an answer And that answer is cold and indifferent and actively just being basically nothing more than what is an acoustical attitude, by the way. So low self-esteem, Diego type behavior, Ice Age, yeah, they're all people who could make use of therapy, and then they would know what true love is, because they're not taking accountability. But a person that is a functional adult won't be saying, let me tell you something. I might if we are just getting to know each other. And if we are in a potential romantic, then I will say your tone, you could use a different tone. And the minute you come back with something else, I'm going to know, okay, you're not my ideal partner. You don't know how to have a conversation. Your attitude means you don't know how to converse with me. Because the tone is what you take ownership of. And then we begin a conversation. We all have personalities. But if I'm presenting to you something, this is where the functional adult says, okay, so let's talk about the tone. And that's the part. I have a tone. I'll use me. I have my 3-year-old tone. And when it comes up, I always apologize, and I consistently still have it. But I don't justify it. Even though sometimes I'll play the leave me alone about it. This is with my mom and my twin. And that's the part of why that flawed and imperfect. We all have tones. We all have sounds that can bother people. We all have these behaviors that can bother people. But when you're a herd that is not Diego, but you're Sid, Manny, and Diego with Pacha, Cusco, that's the difference. So we all are welcomed with our differences, and then we bicker like amazing Neapolitans do in Naples, Italy, loudly, because we're all passionate, because we're all hugging each other. And on that note, thank you for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you heard me well in this new position. I think you did, but I know my voice is going out. So we'll be back with hopefully one more episode. Again, in the meantime, thank you so much for coming. And if you do want to share with anyone who you do know enjoys unconditional love, 5D mystics, 5D woo-woo, 5D inner growth, expanding more of our emotions and thoughts, personal development, self-help, send them over here. Self-empowered women, men, and theys. We build truly loving relationships, which involves all peoples. We all are from the same lovely sphere. And together we can get that humanity to overflow for the ones who choose self-awareness, self-accountability, and self-regulation. And we get to heal that lovely trauma one person at a time, relationship at a time, and to build a safe haven, secure base. What's nice about romance is the active, safe haven, secure base. And that's because when you do get to be supported in those moments where you're blue or you're afraid, because our world is going through a lot, right? And you have that level, man, woman, they, it doesn't matter. Emotionally mature human beings, they don't have the little let me be tone with you. The people who have passive aggressive manners and then they don't address them in a way of the passive aggressive is something I don't enjoy, are those people who don't appreciate their self and say, I appreciate you and your tone. So the ones who do, and there's different soul age groups. Please remember, I'm in the enlightenment one, but the relationship and societal one, they learn through their interactions. So for those of the Enlightenment Soul Age group, we don't have anything to say about splinters or ruptures because we are consistently able to present, here's my story, here are my feelings, here's my thoughts, here's what I want. Are you willing? Yes, great. No? Okay, thank you. It's been a pleasure. I loved that we got to have this exchange. See you later, alligator. Peace out. And that's also why we don't have sagas with any of our twin flame, flames, or soulmates. We are all choice points, and people choose to stick together because that's the part. You choose. If you want to put in your best foot forward, and true love says yes, but in a way of appreciating and in a way of expanding in our lovely 2024. Now, if you talk to the silverbacks, they have a whole different story, but that's for them, not for us. So again, thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.